Hey, it's Ben, and it's client success story time. So I want to tell you a recent case study on one of my past clients that just had some success, and I'm going to tell you the story of these transactions that went on to give you an idea of what we do for our clients, what real estate's like, and that kind of thing. So specific names, addresses, brokerages, agents, and things that are like are left out to keep client confidentiality and things private of matter that need to be. But what I'm going to be talking about is just the specifics of what went on in the transaction without giving away, who people are, basically not violating any client confidentiality, things like that, and not going to be trash talking any names of agents, although I will be discussing behaviors of agents and what agents do and what sellers do and buyers do, but from a very vague standpoint of buyer, seller, agent, not giving away who anyone is. So I had to put that disclaimer out there. Also, while we're on the topic, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Send this to someone you know that might be helpful of how this could benefit them or work for them. So anyway, so I had this client, and it was a referral from a friend of mine. She was looking to buy a house. She wasn't sure if she was going to stay in the Wichita area or not, but she knew she'd probably be here for about the next 3 to 5 years or so. So we were looking for a house for her. She didn't want to rent, and so we were looking for a house for her that made sense, that maybe needed a little bit of work. And this one did. The one we found, she bought a 3-bed, 2.5 bath twin home, which, if you don't know what a twin home is, it's like a duplex where it shares a wall with another person in the same structure, but it's not a duplex where you have renters. It's, owners that own the property, and you own your half of the building, but you share one wall. So anyway, so she bought this house, about $133,000, did very minimal fix up to it, like paint and fixtures and light fixtures. That was it. Didn't replace any carpet, didn't replace any flooring. I think she acid washed the fireplace stone to be a little lighter and whiter to match the rest of the decor, that kind of thing. But anyway, she bought this house 3 years ago at $133,000, knowing that if she put a tiny amount of work into it, it was going to, appreciate in value and is going to work for her long term, what she was looking to do. Fast forward to recently, we just closed on selling that house. She ended up moving to Florida. Congratulations for her. She's also engaged now, so that's exciting. And we ended up listing that. Well, first of all, she tried to go for sell by owner. Nothing against her for doing that. I used to sell some of my listings that way when I was flipping houses before I was a realtor and get my license. More power to you if you can do that, but most of the time you can't, and you usually don't get as much money. Not usually, you don't get as much money. The stats show that when you try to sell for sell by owner yourself. Not to mention, her buyer ended up backing out 3 days before they're supposed to close, and she had no recourse, no way to enforce it. And she was selling at a lower price than she could have sold if she just sold to me in the first place. So she had it listed at $170, FSBO, no buyer's agent involved at all. Deal fell apart. She ended up contacting me because she was moving to Florida anyway. And I was like, hey, I would have listed this thing at 180 and you would have paid less than dealing with all this yourself and everything else. And the thing is, I had a pretty good feeling it was going to go for more than 180 and could definitely appraise for more than 180. Question is just how far above could we do it? So we ended up listing the property, marketing it, using our advanced marketing and sales strategies. And I think we had like 16 showings on it. We generated 3 offers on it, played the multiple offer game with all the agents, got them to bid it up as high as possible. All 3 offers ended up going over asking price with competitive terms, but the one we ended up deciding on sold at $195, so $15,000 over asking price, based on the negotiating tactics that I used, the marketing that I did to drive buyer demand to get to the house. And so I didn't just throw it on the MLS and hope that somebody brought a buyer. We have advanced marketing systems that go beyond just social media. Even though you're hearing this on social media, it goes beyond just Facebook and Instagram. It goes into YouTube, Snapchat, all the native sites, emails, lead lists, Zillow, Realtor.com. We have a multi-prong, multi-marketing machine, multi-channel marketing machine, there we go, that gets our stuff out there everywhere. But not only gets it out there everywhere, it gets it out to the right people that are actually looking to buy and sell, so that you generate buyers, you generate showings to get the most amount of exposure to get you the highest price on your house. An example of this, so if you do the math on it, it's like she really didn't even pay me even above the higher price that she listed it for sub owner on. But just a lesson of, don't go for sub owner, just call me in the first place and we'll get it sold, you know, reasonably fastly like it's supposed to. But she ended up, when you think about it, over 3 years, she ended up netting $60,000 from a smart buying decision. And it came from helping her make that buying decision in the start, knowing that long-term we're setting her up on a solid game plan to have equity down the road. So she had options, whether she wanted to stay there, she wanted to sell and move, she wanted to upgrade. You know, and this is what I really strive to do as a buyer's agent, is I look at all of these as like a 3 to 5 year flip for you. And I want you to make a smart buying decision, because you make your money when you buy these things, not when you sell them. When you go to sell them, it's because of the plan you put in place with me 3 to 5 years beforehand of what we're setting you up for long term on these things. You know, because that's where I bring my construction background into things, my house flipping background into things, and then doing over 300 deals in my 7-year career so far. I'm new enough to be adept with the times and the marketing and the tech and the systems, and hungry enough to get my career going. But I've also been doing this long enough that I haven't, you know, got in the last 2 years like a lot of realtors when it's easy. And I know how to grind, and I know how to work a deal to get you the best favorable situation as your agent. But I wanted to pass on this client's success story and everything, and how things went. And we did sell it for 15 grand over asking price. But here's some of the caveat to this: is in the middle of the transaction, what some realtors do, or some don't, that keep deals together. Because just because you can sell the house at that 195 amount, can you get it to close? What about all the shit show stuff that happens in the middle of the transaction? Because we had 2 of them in the middle of this transaction. It wasn't like, oh, it just sold and it closed and it was easy. There's a few key things that I also did that kept the deal together, kept it going, and still kept a very favorable situation. First one, we had an agent and a buyer who came through and wanted to just tear the house apart to try to renegotiate in the middle of the deal. One of the worst things you can do as an agent, by the way, if you do that, is if you get the reputation of the brand as a renegotiator when you get in the middle of a contract, you're not going to be looked at very favorably by listing agents. And that does matter, especially in a smaller market like Wichita, where people talk, and they know if you have a reputation for throwing a laundry list of repairs at someone just to try to renegotiate and get at what you can out of the seller, you're gonna have a reputation that's gonna be known for that, and that's gonna go against you and your clients on everything. Same thing with lenders. They're the top elite agents in all markets, really. Keep a list of how certain agents handle deals, how lenders handle certain deals, and all of that matters as far as, you know, who you hire as a realtor, and what the brand is and what the reputation is in the industry and in your local market. So she brought this basically 9 grand repair list to us, one of the longest repair request lists I've seen in a while, and with the full detailed inspection report, everything was itemized, written out, asked for literally every single thing on the inspection report, and even went to go ask for like a whole new driveway on everything. And, you know, it was very just far above and beyond. We ended up negotiating back and forth to get it to $4,000, which even then was more than it needed to. But we ended up negotiating that down from 9 grand to 4 grand on everything. And if I would have known this buyer and agent was going to be this way in the first place, we probably would have went with a different offer, because it almost came down to that in the middle of those negotiations, to go with one of the other 2 offers that wouldn't have had to deal with all this BS that goes with it. So that's some of the grief that a listing agent has to go through to protect the sale that they made and the equity that the seller has, because there are a lot of agents who try to renegotiate in the middle of a deal, even though the house has a lot of solid things about it. They use that opportunity to try to take advantage of the seller. And so as a listing agent, you have to be a strong agent that knows how to protect the deal, keep it together, but also protect the seller's equity and the seller's bottom line when it comes to all this. So that was shit show number 1 to deal. Shit show number 2 was the appraisal. Appraisal came in at 190 instead of 195. So just because we sold at 195 doesn't mean it always appraises out. And so in the middle of that, we had to renegotiate again with the buyer's agent which is a whole nother discussion of communication around these things and how difficult it can be sometimes for a simple concept. But we ended up renegotiating out some of the closing costs that we originally agreed to, and a few other items to still protect the net bottom line of the seller. She had to fix a couple handrails and an attic access repair too. I got my handyman out there, fixed it very quickly, very affordably. Mind you, she's in Florida for all of this, you know, so I'm handling it all, taking care of all the grief, dealing with the appraisal, that kind of thing. So that was the second crisis avoided to keep the deal together. And we ended up closing recently. She got her 60 grand in equity out of that. Pretty dang awesome situation for living there for 3 years and making that amount of money, that kind of return. But wanted to give you that client success story. I'm gonna keep doing these. That one wasn't too dramatic. I do have some way wilder, crazier stuff that I'll tell you about, but this will be the first round of client success stories. That's gonna be fun, telling the story of the people that come through here and what transactions are like. And you know, after doing 104 deals last year, over 300 in my career, like, I got plenty of weird, wild, awesome stories to tell you guys, and it's going to be fun to share these. If you guys have anything specifically you want to know about, shoot me a message. If I can help you in any way, I'd love to help you. Shoot me a message on here. Go to my website, wichitahomehero.com. Like, comment, subscribe, share. But I appreciate you watching as always, and I got to take my dog in. He's ready to go inside. See ya.